and welcome to another episode of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. As you can see, we've finally got a bit of sunshine back. This week's been a pretty shit week for weather in Spain. Firstly, just want to say thoughts with those that lost their life in the Valencia region. Thankfully, it was a couple of hours away from where we are because the Valencia region is quite large, but still terrifying to see. The weather's not been great, and a lot of families are affected sort of north of Valencia and a bit more inland, obviously Barcelona and down into the Costa del Sol as well. So thoughts go out to all the families and the people that lost their lives as well. So first things there. After that, though, this week we've gone back to a bit of a grassroots rugby. So we've got Richmondshire RUFC on. So we managed to do an interview with Cookie, who's head coach, Robbo, captain, and Jack, vice captain. So we managed to do a four-way interview. Really good chat, really good group of lads, really good laugh as well, good natter. A club that could have quite easily disappeared. Previously went social, then went back into the league. The league first season didn't work out too well, didn't win a single game. So this year they've come back fighting, and yeah, what they're doing is they're stepping in the right direction. So a really good bunch of lads there, a really good interview and a really good bit of rugby. So don't really want to dawdle on too long with this one, so let's get on with this interview.
This week we're going up north. I know you lot, so most of you think that we only deal with southerners, but we've actually made it sort of north of the M25. We've also gone up in grade. So I've only done an interview with two others before. We've now got three. So let's see if I can fuck that one up as well. So I know this has been a long time coming, and we've finally managed to get it in. Last week we had a couple of issues getting it sorted. So I really appreciate your time for sort of finally being able to get this one over the line. So this week we've got Richmondshire RUFC. We've got obviously the captain, Robbo, vice captain Jack, and senior men's coach Cookie on. Me and Cookie have sort of been contacting each other a fair bit on TikTok, and Cookie's been sharing the pod and sort of sharing the love, which I really appreciate. So want to sort of return that favour and shine a light on your club. And as you self-proclaimed in a couple of our conversations, Cookie, last season was difficult, should we say?
Yeah, definitely difficult. I believe they were in there before they had to come out of the Durham County League, and they went into the social league, where actually in the social league the team dominated, I believe. And then when they went to go back into the Yorkshire League to compete again, unfortunately that wasn't quite so. But I'll let Jack answer that. Jack was definitely part of more of that season, I think, as well as Rob.
Well, we'll start with Robbo then. Obviously, Robbo as captain. How long have you been with the club? Could you do a little bit of an intro, mate, where you've been, how long you've been at the club, and tell us some of the horror stories by the sounds of it you've probably gone through?
Yeah, so you know, I'm Robbo. I've been at Richmondshire Rugby Club now for over 15 years. I took a little bit of a dip out. I left Richmondshire and went to playing for Barnard Castle, that were competing in Durham, Northumberland 1. And if I have to be perfectly honest with you, I was enjoying my rugby, but really missed the lads and the camaraderie that was going on within Richmondshire. So I went back up to Richmondshire when I found out they were going into Yorkshire 4. And then we played under the old captain, and yeah, Yorkshire 4. What a challenge it was.
So how did it go? Because I know sort of Cookie lent on me with it, and it was it as bad as he's made out, or is he trying to make his job sound a bit better?
No, so unfortunately, we went into Yorkshire 4. We kind of made the jump. Probably, I'd say, a season too soon. Right. When we was in the social league, we did very well, and we've got a good set of lads, and got a lot of talent on the team. But unfortunately, I think people forget the difference in jumping divisions, and even if you just go from Yorkshire 4 into Yorkshire 3, yeah. You play at that level, and you could argue and say that there should be another league in between them two. We didn't have any coaching staff. Well, we did have coaches, sorry, but what we didn't have is we didn't have that structure, right. And we was playing what people would rightly say now, we're just playing really, really old school rugby that didn't quite fit into today's modern society. And Cookie come towards the back end of last season, and we didn't even know who we were until the third game we'd watched, and then he decided to introduce himself like he was taking over and becoming a coach, and we were like, oh, well, that's who you are. So unfortunately, it was a rough ride. We didn't win a single game, but the positives was most clubs would have folded, and we successfully still put a full team out week in, week out.
Yeah, quality. So have you pretty much kept the same group of lads together? Because that's a hard season, not winning a single game. And
so I'd probably say we've retained a few, but we've had a really, really positive recruitment drive.
Okay. Brilliant. And obviously, is that local lads, or lads that have come back, or lads that have obviously seen what you guys are trying to do? Or
so that again is a bit of a mixture. We have had old people, like old players that have come back because they've heard that the club's trying to change and go in a different direction, and they want to be part of that journey. Luckily, we're in a garrison area, so we're in Catterick Garrison, which is like a bit of a super garrison military stronghold.
Yeah.
So that's allowed us to bring a lot of military talent in, and we've kept the civilian talent as well, and we've got a lot of civilians that are joining and playing.
Brilliant. You guys, any of you in the sort of the forces or ex-forces, been sort of based around there, or?
So I'm still serving, Cookie's still serving, and Jack is a US Navy SEAL.
I can tell by the tash. Jack, obviously vice captain then, mate. How long have you been sort of part of the club? You obviously were part of last season as well, yeah?
Yeah, so I actually started off from watching my dad. So before we even came to Yorkshire, I'm talking like years and years ago, we were in the social league, like Candy League as you call it, and I was just going to watch my dad train, maybe joining in a bit of touch or whatever, to then go to taking photos for my dad, sending it to him for Facebook. And then obviously I tried to join the junior side, but they didn't have a team for my age group.
Okay.
I had to wait till I was 17 to be able to play, and then when I played for 17, when I turned 17, first game was Acklam, where still in the social league, and then from there I've just gone up, I'd say ranks, as you would say, from starting as a 17-year-old not knowing what he's doing, to then eventually become vice captain for the first team.
No, so have you been with Richmondshire all the way through there? Or
yeah, so I've been from Richmond from day dot, but then obviously last season when it was all going, didn't win a game the whole season. I was thinking about leaving, but then the likes of Robbo and the senior and more experienced lads saying, it happens, but we will get there eventually. So then I ended up staying, and I'm glad I did stay, to be honest, because I feel like my ability in rugby and how I play has been going up better. Improving.
Yeah, fair play. So, Cookie, as Robbo said, it took you sort of 3 games to come out of the shadow to announce who you were. Were you sat there wondering, am I actually fucking going to take this job? Or were you sat there, I ain't going to admit what's going on here? Or how did that all come about?
So I'm Cookie, I'm a senior men's coach. Basically, it's in the army. So I coach, sometimes I help coach the RUFC women's side. And moving away from down south, unfortunately for me, it's hard for me to get down there.
Yeah. And
I seen a post for Richmondshire Rugby Club. At this time, I didn't know who they were, but I love rugby.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, okay, if I'm going for this, I need to watch them for a while and see what sort of impact I can make. So I turned up to a few of the training sessions, stood there, I watched. I could see what, just from a coaching perspective, as well as some of the younger lads not understanding what sort of was happening or what was going on. And then when I went to go and watch the first couple of games, I noticed that the attitude towards him had to change, and definitely some of the key personalities had to change as well. Great bunch of lads for a social league, maybe a social league team, but the team wanted to really compete. We were going to have to, unfortunately, go, and then I would have had to change our stuff and really start putting the fire back up into them, which is not really a good place to be. because you're that person that all of a sudden that comes in from nowhere, no one likes. And I think being in the army, having that sort of resilience a little bit and that bit of pushback, I can sort of just say that it's a fantastic club and they all mean well. They do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched them for a couple of weeks and really made my mark when I stepped in. I completely changed, not completely changed how that way, because they usually had a contact session on a Tuesday. Thursday they would try and do a bit more of the gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday the game. Now the Saturday the game, they would turn up not on time. They would turn up when they wanted to. Tuesdays and Thursdays, you wasn't always getting everybody there, and we're still struggling with that. Like any other grassroots rugby, you know, everybody.
Yeah.
But I've changed it for the better. You know, we got brand new captain in Rob, who's been with the club for 15 years, and the reason why we really went for Robbo was every time there was a game, he was the only one that would be talking to behind the time it was a cricket score, and that were every time they were behind the post, he was kind of, you know, that effort back into the boys and get them back in and get them back fired up. And with Jack, you could see Jack was getting frustrated as well, but also Jack would listen, and that was something that I could see a little bond between them both, which I've probably not told them actually this, but watching them both work together is actually really, really good. So before we went into the new season, we all sat down and we was like, right, yeah, let's go with them too. Let's change all this, and it's been working. And you know, they've never had a pre-season, I believe, beforehand. So we arranged 3 random games. One against Barnard Castle, which we thought it was going to be the team. Turned out to be the first team. But it didn't matter. You know, we still got 12 points on a Divisional 2 team that turned up with all their third players, and we still didn't have the best team at that time that we pulled up on that day. But there were so many positives that came out of that day, which I was trying to enlighten the lads, because they've been on that receiving end of cricket scores. I failed to see where they actually really are doing really well.
Yeah.
And then we played Newton Aycliffe the second week, and oh my God, it was almost like a firecracker.
Yeah.
You know, we had that had been playing for Richmondshire before, but we had gone to uni. They got back in, so
nice.
They had that experience of play rugby. We had some of the Fijian boys turn up, and what was really good to see was not only everybody bonded as a team against that game. Once the tries started coming in, it was like a flare.
Yeah.
You know, Jack got a couple of tries, McKee, and they all started really getting on top of each other, which was really, really good to see. Then we played York RI the following, and unfortunately,
tough game that.
Not everybody.
They're a good side, aren't they?
Yeah, and York RI, they had 30 people turn up now for their training, which is really good for a Yorkshire club. But unfortunately, we were on a receiving end of, but that didn't stop them. Fantastic. So, and we went on to win our first game of the season, which was absolutely mega. Yeah, really good.
How's the rest of the season gone so far then? So you obviously got the first one out of the way, first game of the season pretty much. How's the rest of the season gone so far?
we won one game, had one walkover, and we've lost 4 games. Okay. But with the losses, they've not been more than 40 points, which is an outstanding improvement for the whole team. It's hard though, you know, being at the bottom of the table, the bottom sort of team, but then going ahead and playing 3 top teams. You know, we came away from Hornsey by only losing by 7 points, and they've been at the top of the table now for this whole entire season. They've won every game. We then went on Knaresborough. That was a learning point for us. You know, it was a very hot day. Lads, the problem is sometimes with the lower leagues and the referees, it's not all around you with it, or you're trying to expect. But
Yeah.
instead of sort of regrouping and I think it sort of got to them quite a bit. And unfortunately, we didn't lose by loads, but it was a narrow loss that the boys really thought, oh, actually, I think we could have done better there. And then we went on to, I think it was not Nestle Roundtree, sorry, it was York RI. And again, you know, we didn't have all our players, but although they lost in the first half, so our pitch at home is on sort of like a hill. So
Right.
so we started on the downhill, and we lost the downhill quite badly. But then on the uphill, you know, we won 19, which was absolutely fantastic, which is a statement for the two captains to say, look, you know, look, you may be aim, but look where you've done on that second half, you've come, for some reason, you've won 19-17 uphill. So in a way, we're learning, you know, so we're really excited for our weekend game this Saturday.
Who you got this Saturday?
Leeds Medics and Dentists.
Yeah.
Is that a local sort of a local? Are they down the bottom as well, or is it a local derby? Or
So it's going to be looking at previous results and look at where we're projecting this season and where they currently are. You'd like to think, and I hope to think, it should be a bit of a grand slam between us both.
Nice. So what is the target this season? I know that you might not want to mutter it out loud, or is it a case of you've set a target and you want to sort of graft towards it internally, or
sustainability?
Spot
So
on.
looking from last season, you could arguably say that we wanted to probably keep this in score to a minimum of 50 points. And that was one of the key things that we really wanted to do to ensure that the boys understand that what they are doing, they are improving at the same time, you know. And of course, everybody wants to win a game. So it would be really nice if we get at least 5 wins out of the league. And the boys, the way that it's changing now, and you have to admit, when they were playing last season, they were playing vet school rugby, just the basic rugby, you know, just forwards do forwards thing, backs do their backs thing. Fortunately, with the modern day game of rugby now, it'll only work to a certain point.
Yeah.
And as soon as I mentioned the 1-3-1, they all just looked at me and was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So it's YouTube, get on YouTube, look at the 1-3-3-1 structure. Professional teams use it. I've always believed, especially when I'm in the army, you train like professionals, you'll get with professionals. But yeah, it's good.
I coach under 16s out here in Spain, and I've just sort of introduced the 1-3-3-1 to them as well. And I probably got the same response as you did when you first put it out. I think they thought it was lottery numbers or something like that. It was just, and they still ain't got a clue now. At some point, they get lost. You end up sort of 1, 2, 7, 3. It just random people congregate because they think that's where they should end up. But yeah, if it works for a lot of teams like the All Blacks, I'm sure there's a way that it can be adapted across the way of rugby. But you've also obviously got to adapt with the lads that you've got around you as well. So if you've got lads that just aren't up to that skill set, you've got to adapt around it. Have you got a lot of lads that are new to the game, or have you got lads that are sort of seasoned vets and stuff like that, or a good mix of both to make it a little bit easier on everyone?
So we had a guy called Craig Keller, who's actually a civilian guy. He's actually in his 30s, I think. But he's never played a game of rugby. Now, I know he's done strongman before. So I knew he could handle pressure for him. And he's got the size of a prop, a nowadays prop, being versatile and being actual mobile. And discussing with the other coaches, they were quite keen not to put him in the front row.
Yeah.
And maybe I took a chance with that. I took a massive chance by going, mate, do you like not pressure, but you like a bit of tug of war and that sort of stuff? And he said he loved it. So I went, I'll tell you what, let's put you in loose head
Yeah.
See if you like, see how you get on. We'll make sure that we tell the referee, you know, you're not experienced, you've never had games, but this is the only way you're going to learn. First scrum, he literally straight after the scrum, he looked over. Yes, mate. That's my spot, and I was like,
yeah,
fantastic, because I need some front row players.
yeah.
And actually, throughout the games he's played, he's having a blinder.
Fair play to him. Yeah, that's a proper baptism of fire, especially against teams like York RI and stuff like that. First time you're playing loose heads, and not having your head shoved up your own arse. It's probably not a bad way to start his career off. So obviously you had a really good recruitment drive during the summer. What sort of your numbers are turning up to training? I know you said obviously you struggle for numbers. Every grassroots rugby club struggles for people to turn up, and then you get game time and people do appear and then they disappear. And what's your constant numbers and what's your potential available numbers as well? What's the sort of scores on the doors?
Jack, would you feel comfortable talking about that one?
Yeah. So past couple of weeks it's been varying recently from so about 15, 16 having possibly the starting lineup even more. But then some days like Tuesday we only had like a few people turn up.
Really?
But then we can adapt to that. So like what Cookie did on Tuesday is he went up to the Ravens, which is our female senior rugby team.
Right, okay.
Like pre-train with you, and they were more happy to do that as if they run low numbers or rather make a training session out of it instead of not doing anything.
Yeah, quality. So sorry, Jack. So you obviously made able to jump in with the women's. I know that probably fills a gap, but that must be quite difficult to have to adapt. You probably got you can't obviously make contact games and stuff. You're mid-season, you need more than that. So a few turning up and then 15 and 16, that's quite difficult to get a run through, isn't it? A proper season run through. Like what is how many have you got signed up? How many are on the doors that could turn up?
We have 51 on the books. 51 on the books.
And there's
most are military.
Yeah, that's understandable. So
yeah,
probably 3 months of the season, dependent, really, probably.
Yeah. So I would say we would have. It's really bad. It's a really low average. So I'd say we'd have 8 at training, and on game days I'd say we'd have 17, and that's an average. Sometimes we might get like we posted the video the other day. We had this. So for the 20-player training session, 5 in a year. So we are trying our hardest to keep them coming, and it's trying to get that player commitment we're struggling with, and we all know that I go a little bit crazy over respond, but as a coach, if people can just let me know, because all it takes is 1 second, and what they forget sometimes is I can see that they've seen it, so all they have to do is literally just press yes on. Do you know what? On a Sunday, when I look at my phone, I'd rather have 50 players go, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Then I'll go, okay, yeah. And it will change and fluctuate, but at least then I know that I've got the attention of them all. But it is improving, and hopefully we do make it go forward, and we get more people training. But one thing I did notice from last season is the women's side were training on their own, and so were the men.
Yeah.
And Tuesday that just went, I spoke to the women's coach there, Sammy. She fantastic woman, and she was like, "No, I agree. Let's start integrating it a little bit because we all want the same game of rugby. We're one club, and the only way we're really gonna make the numbers up on every training session now going forward, and not only that, but learning at the same time, would be together at some point, maybe on a Thursday, and have battle our scrum. You know, have the backs run out with the backs, and then have the team run out against the teams. It's not, especially with winter now. You know, the club has got floodlights, but they're very limited to the space that you can use. So I am, and this again is trying to get the player commitment on a Saturday when we haven't got a game to get a club.
Yeah.
Let's have a decent training session but then because it's only training, it's like can't really be bothered. But I could guarantee if I was to turn around and go, actually, boys, on the Friday night this is, and go cancel the training session, we've got a game. Oh, yeah, within an instant there'd be 20 people going, oh yeah, I'm happy on play. But it's trying to make it fun as well at the same time. And it is definitely improving, especially our pod work throughout the weeks has definitely come on. But it's always at the moment game way. They do use it for maybe the first 15 minutes before they start going, okay, actually, let's start doing this. But it's definitely working.
Jack, Robbo, has that sort of been an ongoing issue for the club? Obviously, Robbo, you've been there 15 years. Has that sort of been how the club's been for a while? The commitment's been up and down. Is that why you had to basically drop out and become a sort of social rugby team?
Yeah, 100%. So what we did do this season, which was very positive, and it did, the numbers were actually really, really good. Is we put a 2 week, I suppose we'll call it a boot camp because that's exactly what it was. We put a 2 week boot camp on from the through the Monday to the Friday all the way through for 2 weeks, and that really attracted really good numbers, because what it did do is to compete in this league. I mean, whether and it's not being disrespectful to the leagues, but to compete in Yorkshire 4, or whether you were to compete in Durham, Northumberland 3, they are very two easy leagues to actually get yourself out of, and it's just about player accountability and being fit.
Yeah.
And if you're fit, then you'll win the majority of your games, and I think that's why as well. Looking into the way we've started this season, yes, okay, we might have lost a few games, but believe me, them score lines are very, very respectful, like the buzz. And a lot of that comes down to that. It's come down to that fitness level, and that's where we was getting pegged back last season. There was no real fitness in there at all, and including myself. I was blowing myself after about 15 minutes. You know, you see, so you're then playing another 65 minutes in complete survival mode.
Yeah.
And you've got young, fit lads, and they are young, fit lads just running at you like trains, and you're just like, I can't do this anymore.
You can't even you can't even breathe to figure out what the
No,
ball
you can't.
looks like, let alone running in the pods and stuff like that. And you got Cookie shouting you. You're probably telling
you can't.
them to fuck
but
off.
the fitness this season, it generally has shown, and I'll always go back to the York RI game. Is how does a club from last season that had a cricket squad put past them on twice when they played them managed to leave the pitch 19-17 battling second half up a hill? Well, simple, because we had that togetherness and we had that fitness, and that fitness kept us in that game.
Yeah, it's quality. Jack, have you sort of found that, mate? Obviously, being through the club as well, is that sort of a systematic issue probably with the club? Is it the local area? Because you guys said about the Yorkshire leagues has got low turnouts in some of the briefly earlier. Is it just sort of rugby up north, rugby union up north that's got low turnouts?
Sorry, Jack. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, like so obviously we're in Yorkshire 4. We get a lot of Leeds, like a lot of teams from down Leeds, and there's a lot of league down there.
Yeah.
So obviously, when it comes to the union season starting, the league's just finished. So obviously, I don't think there's many league teams around where we are that will come to us compared to Leeds and like York and places like that. So when their league season finishes, they'll go to union just because they want to play rugby to win throughout the year. And obviously, that has got a massive toll because obviously they know how to make them runs, they know how to make them hits.
Yeah.
Obviously, compared to I don't think we've only got any league players in our squad at the minute, or anyone that trains with us at the minute.
Right.
But it's just all about consistency, really. At the end of the day, just doing it week in, week out, and just trying to get the numbers there and everything.
You got anything to add on that, Rob? Obviously, you were about to jump in, mate. Obviously, you've probably been around it a bit longer as well.
So I think where we slightly struggle a little bit as well is where we are geographically. So, you know, where we are, we have You know, we've literally got Darlington that's down the road, and they've got, you know, there's Darlington Mowden Park. They're competing in National League One. Their first team, their second team, they're in Durham. They're in Durham 3, or is it 2? They're in Durham 3 or Durham 2. But then there's another Darlington team, and they're getting 5. It's incredible. They're getting 5 teams out near enough week in, week out at the minute at senior men rugby level.
Wow.
And that's where we're kind of a little bit stranded. Is we're kind of Richmond in this little town, this little place, and it struggles to just bring them people through.
It's probably hard with people also seeing those scores on the doors as well. That like people get attracted to winning rugby, and stuff like that. So you've got to get people to buy in to what's happening, and that's not going to happen overnight. So what you're doing so far is spot on. How is the club sort of set up? Obviously, you said you've got a senior women's team. Is there a full youth system? Have you got colts, and have you got like a proper little ground? Have you got all of the sort of facilities ready?
They've got a huge junior section.
Oh, really?
We're talking over kids.
Wow.
It's absolutely fantastic from the volunteers, and what they do is really good. But as soon as it gets to, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but I'm pretty sure as soon as it gets to the under 16s, it dwindles down to 6 or 7.
Why is that?
And then what they have done though was very clever from some of the is create a lower Dales team and brought 16-year-olds from around that area, like Wendale, Thirsk. I remember what Roger said what the other team was, but they all come to and make a lower Dales team,
right,
and then compete with teams that have actual teams. And what I'm trying to do is hopefully integrate our training on a Thursday, and at some point get some of the players go out Friday to keep them 16-year-olds. Because we haven't got a Colts team, we're going to lose them for a season or two to either a uni team or potentially Darlington. But we want them back. You know, we want them to, you know, the senior men team now is changing. You know, we've got a brand new kit coming along. We've got loads of new players. We're doing I think, from where they were from last season, they've definitely tipped the board in where I think they should have been. We're starting to see results where I would have expected to see them sort of results, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Compared to where, and hopefully them 16, 17-year-olds, once they turn 17, they come back to the club and play that adult rugby, but then stay with the team. And we've definitely got a couple of 17-year-olds that really come. You know, some of them are the first ones there at training, last ones. And there's one, Ewan, bless him, he is working a lot at the moment, and he's a prop. He's took it actually to the captains. You know, this kid who's 17, who's quite a big lad, who's all of a sudden turned up, and he does. You know, he's going to run a little bit more, and he knows that, but he's doing so well, and he every time he comes, he's like, I just got my rugby mates. I love it, having that camaraderie, and being around these two as well, and being accepted by all the men. It's really, really good. It's really good to see. I think we've also managed to get another couple of civvy lads that are a little bit older, but they've come back to training as well. And actually, you know, there was a lad called Henry Johnson, and he came in. I think he played before. He missed out a load of years, and he started to come back and started to fill in. And when we had that 2-week training camp, he wasn't making tackles. Now, I said to him, you know, and I think this is where, as a coach, you've got to be honest, because if you don't be honest, sometimes it will never improve, but later on down the line. And he was missing tackles. And I said to him, you know, you're playing centre. If you miss that tackle, that's potentially 7 points, you know. And this is trying to avoid for the whole team. And I said to him, if you want that first shirt, you need to be hitting like a train, because you're a fit young lad. You can run hard. And he was like, okay. Next game we had your car right when we did lose, but however, he was hitting like a monster.
Yeah,
He was
fair play
he
to
was
him.
out that line, and he was putting people back on. He was helping them back up afterwards. And I said to him, just hit them hard. You can do that after the game when you're in the bar. Just keep hitting them hard, and he did. And when he came off, I said to him, "You've earned that first shirt now, mate. That's
Yeah,
you."
no.
First team, definitely, and I think that took him by surprise a little bit, and he's really enjoying it now. So fantastic to see that. And we have a couple of Fijian boys in the team now, but I believe that having them couple of Fijians play, and when they show that flair,
Yeah,
it's almost like it's that morale just comes flying back for some of them. You know, I watched Jack when I watched Jack for the first as a winger, because that's where they were playing him. And I even said to him actually after watching his first game, I said to him, "Well, you're missing a few tackles there, mate." And then he come to me and he said, "Well, actually, I usually play 9, so we've put him into 9 position, and he's been growing,
Yeah.
and he hasn't missed a tackle so far, which is absolutely brilliant."
Well, 9s don't tackle anyway, so you can't miss a tackle at 9 if you don't have to tackle. Jack, sorry, Jack.
Oh, sorry, I was
you,
just going to say very quickly, it's like Henry Slade or someone like that, and he's missing tackles. I wouldn't think he'd probably be in that next team on the next start lineup. He'd be, on the impact list.
Yeah,
Just we like to call it now instead of.
That's it. Yeah, Jack. Obviously, you've been around, mate. Probably sort of seen it sort of firsthand. Why do you think the 16s and the Colts is sort of the graveyard of your club at the minute, really? Because it seems to be where you're losing that connection between the next first team members. What's obviously, if you've been through it, what's sort of happening, mate? Where can the club improve?
Obviously, I'd say likes of Darlington, where they can get 5 teams out. Obviously, then the people like the thrill of playing in a higher league and working your way through it.
Yeah.
They also, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, Cookie, but they also give you the option of you go to play with them and they'll send you off with a scholarship with a college or something like that, or uni. We can't offer that, but we have had in the girls' junior section, we have had 7 girls go to Yorkshire county level, and they're playing Yorkshire. But mainly like the Wensleydale as well. Their first team's in Yorkshire 1.
Right.
They all go to there playing the seconds, and then when they get the thumbs up for firsts, obviously everybody wants to say, "Oh yeah, I'm playing in Yorkshire 1 or I'm playing in DN1 or whatever like that." But it's just like we're not a big club at all. We're a very small club compared to Darlington and other places around us. But purely, I think it's just because people can see what the difference is between us and Darlow.
Yeah.
And we just can't offer that at the moment. But I think we'll be able to do that, especially if you keep the drive going and the recruitment push. I think we'll be able to get there.
No, fair play. So is the club pretty much financially secure? Is it got a good footing to push forward? It's got its own facilities and everything like that. Is it in good standing? Because there's a lot of clubs that are about still on the brink of going.
It's hard. It's kind of hard to comment on that, to be honest, because we don't really get a true reflection or see what actually really goes on behind the scenes from a financial point. However, I do think we are in a decent place. We've got a clubhouse that we can rent out for birthdays and all sorts of parties and everything, which people do. But and when we do make a really, really good financial gain is when we've got both senior male teams playing at home on a double-headed weekend.
Yeah.
Because as you can imagine, that straight away minimum is bringing in that's 60 players minimum, and that's before we even talk about substitutes, supporters, family, friends, everybody that travels with the away team. So. Yeah, I don't think we can give a fair response to the question because we're not in that position to talk about it. But from what we see, I think we're all right.
Beer prices all right in the clubhouse? Are they reasonable, or are they getting a bit of a sting in the pocket at the minute? Because there's a lot of clubs that are having a sting the boys in the pocket on the beer money rather than just to keep the club afloat.
Average.
$4.40 for a pint of Guinness.
How much?
$4.40 for a pint of Guinness is all right.
Fucking dirt cheap compared to down south, but Christ,
I was going to say I'm down south at the minute. It's about £8.
Yeah, and that's a half as well, Robbo.
Yeah,
That's
that's a half. That is a half as well.
No, fair play to you. So, season ahead is a case of target of sort of 5 wins. Is that roughly where you're at, and keep it under 50 points of if any defeat comes along your way?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when Cookie touched on it actually before, it's been frustrating already this season. It started frustrating because them 5 wins, we probably should be just about there now, really. I mean, there's been a couple of fixtures where we have left that pitch, and unfortunately we've gone in that dressing room and looked at each other and gone, we've actually just thrown this game.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have just thrown this game. We should have won comfortably. You know, but you put yourself into them positions, don't you? And you've got to navigate your way out of them, I suppose.
That's the difference, obviously, between this season and last season. Last season, you'd have probably just not even noticed that.
Yeah,
Whereas
absolutely.
This season, you're able to create your brand. You know your target. You know what you're gonna do, and they're the worst ones when you know you should have come away with something rather than just no. Lads, it's been an absolute honour to get you on. We've got in the future we're getting Grassroots rugby game days back. So I did it recently over the summer. I've got a couple of other lads coming on, so hopefully later in the year, if not next season, potentially depends on how it works out. We'd love to obviously come up and do an actual game day with you.
Absolutely.
See what's going on and sort of
that'd
do
be
that.
fantastic.
Your pints will be free as well.
I'll have to fly back from Spain, but I think I'll make the effort for you boys, to be fair. So
your pints will be free.
I'm sure if you make it, we will look after you. You might not be able to go back the same, but you'll definitely you'll definitely enjoy yourself.
That's it. As long as my visa's still valid, I'm fine. But lads, it's been an absolute honour having you on. And just one last thing from you guys. If you want to just put a rally cry out for anyone in the area to come and join the fight, then just push it out now, and then we'll promote it on the run up to the release as well. So lads, what makes your club, and why do you want people to come and join you?
Because it's a brotherhood.
Oh yeah, brotherhood. It's definitely a brotherhood.
Sold there, and that's the thing. That's what rugby does. That brotherhood, you've got it forever. It's like having a brother you don't always want as well. You can't fucking get rid of some of them.
I think I have to say is I came into the club. I don't think I was well retrieved. It might have been, but definitely it's going in the right way, and everyone is it's all improving. The guys, there's more people coming into the team doing so much better. The women's side, fantastic. I have to have like a big shout out to Gareth Hassity. So he's not here at the minute, but he's the captain for the seconds. And although sometimes we might clash a little bit, he's actually, he's a real strong figure within the Richmondshire club. And he brings everybody together. And if Richmondshire is what it is, probably, don't get me wrong, they do really well. You've got all the coaches, Neil Gardner, Kimberly Gard, all of them that do it. And then Smurf as well is the other senior coach. He's got his legs up resting. He's hurt his ribs in the seconds team, bless him, because now he can, we've managed to take that pressure off him a little bit and help out. But one thing from Richmondshire is it's definitely a family club, and it's a great place to be on a Saturday when there's definitely games playing. And obviously, massive shout out to these 2 captains as well, because where they were before, and then to take that leadership onto a team that we didn't quite know the season would have started. Yeah. And watching them both come off that first game, a massive smile on their face. This year's going to be good. It's definitely something that we've all took on. So yeah, fantastic.
Fair play. Lads, been an absolute honour. Thank you for your time, and let's hopefully we can get that one in the diary of us getting over
Yes,
and actually
100%.
coming to a game with you. So, cheers, lads. Really appreciate your time.
No, thank
Cheers,
you.
mate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Right. So that brings another episode of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast to an end. I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined. Really a massive shout out to Richmondshire RUFC for jumping on. Cookie, Robbo, Jack, great conversation. Really good bunch of lads. Seems like they're turning the club in the right direction. Results are starting to come the right way as well. So they've put themselves in a realistic target as well. So they're not expecting to suddenly win the league the next year round, but they're working towards the right bits and keeping people involved in rugby and getting new lads into the game, which is brilliant. So if you're ever up that way, start for rugby, get involved, give them a shout. I'm sure they're more than happy to welcome you with open arms. Next week, as I previously mentioned, we've got two new lads joining the pod. That's a Buster and Adam. We've got them on ahead of the 16th for our first Rugby Through the Leagues Grassroots game again with Buster going to that interview to start with. So got a bit of an introductory podcast with them. So that's out next week. So really good laugh, really good couple of lads. Love the game, really want to grow the game, and obviously they're located back in England so they can help fight the fight there while I carry on over here and try and spread the word. Over the next couple of weeks I'm actually going to be at the Spain international games, so I'm going to go Spain-Uruguay, which will be on the 9th, going to Spain-Fiji on the 16th, and then also going to Spain-USA on the 23rd. So look out for some content for that when that comes out as well. So that'd be really good to get that out as well. We're going to pretty much wrap the pod up at the end of November, and the Grassroots stuff's going to be released on our socials with maybe little mini episodes of pods, but of their own format for you guys to keep busy on the podcast platforms and keep that ticking over while we get this rebuilt ready to come out again in February. So keep liking, keep subscribing, keep sharing. Make sure we're doing it on the socials as well so that more spread is available, more people can see what we're trying to do and get back to rugby. And obviously autumn internationals, let's see how that goes. Hopefully England can pick up some wins there against some big games. So everyone else, thank you so much for joining. Thank you and goodbye.